Welcome to Live, Let Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Myka and Steve.
Hello. Welcome back to Live, Let Thrive. This is episode 16.
16. We are in double digits and moving.
Yes, sir. I'm here with my co-host, Myka.
And we are here with another special guest, actually a really big guest. We have one of the biggest Airbnb hosts with us today. He is the host of the most requested Airbnb, the ATL Treehouse.
Peter Bahouth. Bahouth, is that how you say it?
Bahouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, give it up for Peter.
Yeah, so
otherwise known as the Bridge Troll. I use both personalities on it.
The Bridge Troll. I like that. I've been called worse. So how you been, Peter?
I'm doing well. We got through the hurricane. I was, treehouses are a susceptible structure during a hurricane.
Oh, wow.
so you guys...
Atlanta had 60 mile per hour winds that were forecast. So I had two things coming towards the treehouse: 60 mile per hour winds and a UK couple that had made their reservations 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
They picked the perfect time to come, huh?
It's always different out here.
It is. So, wow. So, yeah, man, you have the most requested spot on Airbnb, or the most wished for. Is that what it is? What's the difference between the two?
Yes, they call it the most wished for. I was named that in January of 2016, and it appears again in 2017.
Congratulations for that.
Wow, what kind of perks has that opened up for you? Like, has that...
Believe me, nothing. I mean, forget about the jacket. Forget about the jacket with the number 1 on the back. There was nothing. I didn't even get a phone call. So,
dang.
Yeah. All I got was a lot more emails.
Oh, wow.
So, how long have you been hosting?
No, I'm actually very, I'm really honored, actually. It really, apart from the Airbnb part of it, the fact that people see it and want to come here is really something that is a complete surprise to me, and something that I really, I really honor and I really respect for the people that come here. So, of course, it'll take me, I think I figured it out to be 845 years to get everybody that has me on their wish list through here, but I don't think everybody's trying to request. So, but it's been really something, it really has been. Well, so I've been hosting for I guess over 3 years. But I built the Treehouses 18 years ago. They weren't built with Airbnb or, in fact, anybody in mind staying out here. But after 15 years, they grew up and got a job.
Nice. So, what inspired you to build them?
Well, when I was a kid, I had a treehouse. I mean, you shouldn't really call it that. It was maybe like a 2x, a board up in a small bush or something. It was very nothing. But it was kind of where I learned the word sovereignty. And so, I mean, when you go up there, when you have a treehouse when you're a kid, it's kind of your place. It's not your parent. It has nothing to do with your parents or anybody else. You're kind of it's like your country.
Right.
So
right.
I just kind of remember that feeling from being a kid. And when I bought this house that I live in now, about 20 years ago, then I bought the lot next to me, which was a gorgeous, a little over an acre of, really beautiful woods. I never actually went out there. And then I remembered when I had that treehouse when I was a kid, I wished I had a bigger allowance. I'd really, make it a little more special. So then, I kind of went crazy. And once I started, the first thing was I wanted a bed that rolled out on a platform so that you could sleep outside.
Awesome.
That was like, I always wanted that just in my bedroom, like a drawer that, went out pneumatically or something. But, that was one thing I wanted. And then I began to think, well, I mean, if you just have a treehouse with a bed in it, that could be real creepy for people. They might not want to go up there,
Yeah.
So, I thought about other spaces, and then I figured, well, 3 is a good number, so I wanted to create 3 different spaces with rope bridges, between them. And then it kind of came out to be like mind, body, and spirit.
Sweet. I like the symbolism.
Yep. And there were 7 trees involved, and it's kind of amazing, but they were right exactly where they needed to be.
Wow.
Perfect.
So when you first started hosting, what did you start with? What was your starting price?
I think it was around $150 or $165. I really actually didn't think that anybody would rent it. I figured that, it's a treehouse. If you're coming to Atlanta and you're visiting friends, well, you stay with friends or whatever. If you come for business, you're not going to stay in a treehouse. You might have to wear a suit or something. I really didn't think I'd get people. I did it because I saw an interview with the founders of Airbnb in a newspaper, and they talked about various places that people like to rent, and they kind of described, various unique places. They said people like yurts and tents and tree houses. And when he mentioned tree houses, I said, well, I have a treehouse suite. Then I kind of went, geez, I wonder what would happen. And I kind of put them up and, just waited to see what would happen. And right from the very beginning, it was kind of blew my mind. It really did.
That's awesome.
Just the experiences I was picking up from what happened out here with people.
Wow.
I think it's like you said, you were surprised by it, but in a way, it's like we're all still kids. We're all grown ups. We got the jobs. We went to school. We did all the stuff we're supposed to do. But in our hearts, man, we're just kids. We wanna play. I think that's why it connected with a lot of people.
I think that's true. That's definitely part of it. I think the other part of it is I lived a very I was traveling a lot. I was pretty electronically plugged in my work. I did the kind of work that at the end of the day, you don't really see anything that you really did with your hands, or you can't say like, oh, I painted this wall. I've been an environmental advocate for about 30 years. And, through that period, there were always creative projects that I liked to try to do because I could see what I built with my hands, and I could look at the end of the day and say, this is something that you can see physically, and here it is.
Right.
So, that was important to me.
And
well. And so it was a place to unplug. A treehouse is it's kind of an analog place. I know you've seen tree houses that have TV sets or Guinness on tap or pool tables or whatever, drywall. This is a different kind of tree house.
Right. I was talking to some friends at work today, and I was telling them, hey, I'm gonna. Of course, they don't. Most of my friends still don't. A lot of my friends, I work with an older crowd. They still don't know exactly what Airbnb is. And I was telling them, well, I'm interviewing the guy that has the most wished for place on Airbnb, and they're like, oh, okay, what is it? It's like Treehouse. He's like, a treehouse, really? and then another buddy of mine heard, and he's, oh, I know these tree houses over here in, I think he said Kansas or something like that. And he showed me some pictures, and like it was the ones like you described, the real corporate ones that like built like log cabins with all the amenities and a hot tub inside. And I was like, well, yeah, it's not really magical like this one. And I showed him pictures of it. He's like, oh, that's cool, that's interesting, But it's like they're just like real corporate, real, someone heard about it and said, we're gonna exploit it and make a whole bunch of money off of it,
Yeah, this was very personal. This was a very personal project. I think it probably helped me that I wasn't building it for doing this. Because then it's a little more, it's kind of what it was. It is what I wanted it to be, and people respond to that. I think that's better than trying to kind of figure out what people want.
Right. You're an artist, right?
I am an artist. I do stereoscopic 3D photography. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, so you got the top-notch pictures, right?
Yeah, I haven't really taken that many pictures of the treehouse. I do kind of other things, but it's in the sense that the treehouse was a project that I was an outlet for kind of being creative, because I think it's the creative things in life that tend to sustain you. they're the fallback to, when you're stressed. So, it was really a lot of fun to do it. It was a collaborative process. I got materials from all sorts of interesting places. All sorts of interesting things happened when I built them. But I'd have to say that the things I learned in the Treehouse have been lessons that I didn't ever expect to learn, but have been some of the most valuable ones I've ever learned. Not just dealing with people, but really what I learned just being up in the trees.
Nice.
Wow. So your treehouse, do you list it as like an entire place or a private room, and how many guests do you allow?
I think sometimes it's confusing because I sometimes refer to them as tree houses because there's 3 of them, but it's it's one unit. It's like I said, it's like a treehouse suite. It's a suite of 3 different spaces, and it's only for 2 people. Some people are confused by that. They think maybe there's 3 tree houses and there's other couples in the other rooms, but no, it's just for 2 people.
Wow. Have you ever thought about making it for more? Or?
No.
Wow.
No. This is kind of, I think, just this is. I wouldn't for a number of reasons.
Yeah, go ahead and go over that.
Reasons. Pardon?
Yeah, what reasons would you like?
Well,
not?
Like I say, this thing just kind of like it kind of developed naturally.
Mm-hmm.
It was something I did, and then something I put out there for people. People respond to it a certain way. I'm not really looking to kind of like maximize. Oh wow, people love the tree houses here. I'll put other tree houses here and have other couples come, and it's a very intimate and private and quiet place. And I don't think that kind of developing onto it would. I think the whole nature of it would change if I did that.
You know what I instantly thought of when you said that you limit it to 2 people. You ever seen that movie called, I think it's Hero Dreams of Sushi?
Yeah, I know the movie. Yeah. It's about follows the old guy over there in Japan, has a little bitty hole in the wall sushi spot, and right.
But he's so it's the way he doesn't just want to. He could expand it, market it, and make a whole bunch more money. But it's just a little bitty 10-seater, and he just whatever clients he has for the day. That's what he caters to. He only makes enough. He doesn't. They don't get to order. He makes what they're going to eat, and he makes them the experience for them. And that's what I feel like you're doing.
That's exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly it. I really spend a lot of time making sure that it meets my guests' expectations. Because I don't want people coming away disappointed. Anybody that doesn't do Airbnb, that wants to do Airbnb, I get a lot of, the tree houses are on social media. They're kind of in a lot of places.
Yeah.
They show up somewhere and then another place picks that up, and, it just kind of keeps rolling. And, sometimes you read comments under, it was on the Today Show, for example, and there's a lot of comments under there.
Yeah.
Then it was in a bunch of magazines, and it gets posted, and there's comments. And people say, I'll just build my own tree houses. Well, people don't understand. It's a lot of work. It really is.
Right.
And if it doesn't bring you joy, then it's a job. And I don't really even think I would do this if I wasn't getting a real, if I wasn't getting something myself from the experience that my guests have. That's what really makes it kind of those moments where you feel some joy at doing this. And, I read through these guest books that we have here. And, it's amazing. It's people draw and they write poems and they write 3 pages of what happened to them out here. And I read that, and, there's been a lot of times when I've just sat here and I had tears in my eyes from what people were saying their experience was and why they came here. And, those are the things that really make it more than a job. So, I really don't think that I want to really do much of anything else. And, I always tell people, there's a lot of people, they want to do photo shoots, they want to have events here, whatever. And I just say, it's a quiet, intimate place. Don't get all, worked up about how it's going to go. Just be open to it, and it'll be good. But you have to be open to a situation like that when literally what you're doing is you're in a treehouse. You're in nature. I mean, it's a very comfortable treehouse, but if there's a storm, you're in a storm, and people don't really know how to take that sometimes until they're in it, and then they love it because it's like, wow, that was such a natural, beautiful experience. I'm always running from a storm. To actually watch a storm and be up in it and feel it is a thing that most people in modern life don't really experience that much. And I think that's a big part of it.
It's like the kids. Like when we were kids, we love playing in the rain, but our parents said, "Don't do that. Don't jump in those puddles."
Yeah, I think that's right.
Wow.
And it's a complicated world. I mean, I often try to think to myself, why is this the most wished for Airbnb in the world? I didn't ever try to be that. I don't even say I'm the best treehouse or anything. But I try to understand, what is it that people feel, and how do I meet that expectation for them? How do I give that experience? And that's why I'm very, very focused on, I give people the tour, I meet them, I greet them, I get them, I do things that introduce them to this place. And I go. But, I think I tell them certain things about the treehouse, and I think I'm beginning to learn to click into what it is and why people are here.
Right. You built something real,
Yeah, I think it's real, but I think they also have to be prepared a little bit. Like, let me give you an example. At the very end of the treehouse, there's a 165-year-old southern shortleaf pine. It's a magnificent, gorgeous tree. It goes up, I'd probably say, maybe 125, 140 feet. It's been here since the Civil War. And this tree has some serious presence. And I bring people out there, and I introduce them to the old man. I call him the old man. I introduce people to the old man for a couple of reasons. One, I think he deserves respect. I've learned that. But also because when people go out there and I introduce them, they look up. Because they've been on their computer and they're mostly looking down most of the day. Right. So once they look up, it's that's a little bit of a different thing for them, and that kind of brings them in a little bit, They see that it's not really about the tree houses, it's about the trees.
Me and Myka are both looking up right now, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a thing I do with people, and I was saying about how, I introduce people to the old man and have them look up and, just kind of, help get them into the idea that what they're really doing is they're in a platform that's up in the trees. So you're basically up in trees. It's they see the pictures of the treehouse, and it's a beautiful platform, and it's a comfortable platform, but it's the trees.
Right.
If you built a treehouse on stilts, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
So it definitely seems like the reason why you're so successful is just because it's your passion, and that energy feeds. And I think that's why, you're the number one. It's your passion. You know what I mean? Us other hosts, we're just putting rooms up to get a buck. You know what I mean? And
Well, somebody wrote to me the other day. I get all sorts of emails that aren't about renting the place. I get emails from people, how do I do what you're doing? Or, what did you do for licensing or permitting? Or what do you do for insurance? Or, somebody wrote to me and said, hey, I'm gunning for your number one spot, but don't worry about it. Number two won't be so bad.
Dang.
And, and I wrote back and I said, hey, no problem. Thanks for writing, but I think you got a flawed strategy. He got the trenches like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And I said, well, I mean, I didn't tell him what the flawed strategy was, but the flawed strategy is if you're trying to be number one, I think you probably would never get there.
That's true.
That's not the point.
Yeah.
Just be what you are. Do what you do feels right for you. Give your guests something special, and let things fall from there.
So when the guests arrive, like you show them the old man.
I bring
you
them
call
out
it,
to the old man.
The tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you take them to the place, give them a tour of it.
Well, then we come back through, okay?
Okay.
And, I tell them that I'll answer all questions honestly as long as we're up in the treehouse. I tell them that and they can ask me anything. I tell them a little bit about it. I tell them how things work. The bed rolls in and out, so, I usually give one of them a ride out and then back. They always like that. I explain to them, about candles and lights and, rolling the bed in before they leave so it doesn't get wet. And, I tell them that, there's no rules in the treehouse, but there are principles. And I tell them, and, it depends on how much experience they have. But, the thing about rules is if you had a treehouse when you were a kid, there was one rule. Do you remember what it was?
Don't fall out of the treehouse. I don't know.
No.
What's
no girls allowed. And it was a stupid rule. So we got rid of it. So now there's no rule.
Thank goodness.
And that makes sense for a treehouse. But there are principles of behavior. So if you violate principles of behavior, you have to deal with the bridge troll. And he's napping. You don't want to wake him up. He gets grumpy. So if I have to kind of enforce any kind of like misbehavior, then I can really blame the treehouse, the bridge troll, instead of it being me. So it protects me a little bit. So I've got little tricks I do,
That's priceless, man. I think Mike is going to try that with his Airbnbs.
What exactly are your principles?
I think that one of them is, you have to relax and experience it. You can't push it. There are principles of behavior. Fire, that's a bad principle in a treehouse, right?
Fire's bad.
We don't do cookouts.
Yeah.
So, but it's just generally, it's just a reminder of, these are gracious, generous, and comfortable. They're Southern. They have a Southern mentality, right?
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just be, you want people to be kind up here. You want people to be intimate. You want people to get to know each other. You want people to unplug. It's so, being on your phone and doing Instagram the whole time you're here is probably a violation of treehouse principles, I'd say.
I would say so, yeah.
So, it's those kind of things. Just understand that you're doing something different, and this place will take care of you, right?
Right.
As long as you be open to it. And I've seen that happen over and over and over again. And what I read and a lot of what people say is, whatever they don't want coming up in the treehouse doesn't come up. So it can be stress. It can be the fact that they went through an illness. It can be the fact that they need a 2-day break from their children. Whatever it is, it doesn't come up.
Nice. They confide in the treehouse.
Yeah, just be open. Don't control everything. Be open.
And obviously you don't offer television, Wi-Fi, cable, any of that stuff.
There's Wi-Fi.
Oh,
but I tend to realize that people pretty much put the stuff away.
Wow.
And I would imagine that you wouldn't get too many crazy incidences because of you charge a higher price, so you would think that
Well, I think I'm pretty good at screening people. I think I get a sense why people are coming, and sometimes if I don't get anything, just like a request for a date, I'll kind of ask them, like, why are you interested in the treehouse, or tell me a little bit about yourself. But I can really tell. I think that especially recently, people have just kind of written, I've wanted to come here for a long time. It's my birthday. I see that you have these dates open. I really hope it works. That kind of thing. And I can tell they're excited about it. That's good enough for me.
So you handle all the bookings yourself?
I handle it all because I have to tell you, my emails are probably sometimes less than 10% are requests for dates. Other emails are just all sorts of questions.
Oh, okay.
So since you charge a higher rate and it's for only 2 people, you haven't had much troubles with guests, have you?
No, I really haven't. I think that I really really, there's certain activities that I've curtailed. Okay, so I used to be a lot more open, but I do realize that a lot of times when you kind of break your kind of ways that you want to do things, that it always kind of ends up in trouble. It's not really any good reason to do that, and so I tend to realize that. Look, what makes me comfortable, and I think what the best and highest use is for two people to just have a nice time out here. And so, when someone says, "Oh, it's just I'm going to have my 4 quiet girlfriends come over," it's like it'll just be us 6 quiet women, and you realize it's the loudest thing you've ever heard in your life, and they say they're going to be there an hour, and you go out there after 2 hours, and they go, "Oh, I guess we're getting kicked out now." See, I don't want things being put on me. I don't want to have to be the bad guy. I don't want to be the bad guy, So, I mean, it's just like, this is the way I like to do it. I hope that's okay with you. But if not, then, I'm sorry.
And how far away
I offer people their money back when they come here. Every time. Every time.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
How far away is it from your house?
Sorry?
I'm sorry.
It's like 20 yards.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, what were you saying? I interrupted you.
No, it's fine.
Also, since I know you get a lot of traffic coming through to you. So, like, what's your occupancy rate? Like, are you always booked, or do you take time to like close off dates? How does that work?
I could book every single night, but when I first started, I didn't have a 2-night minimum, and I basically got caught doing it every single day. And the problem with that is, first of all, it's a lot of work to get it ready. To do the changeover. That's going to take you a few hours a day. Then I've got to wait for when the people come. And so it was kind of like, wow, I've got people leaving in the morning. I've got to do the turnaround. And then, I don't know when people, I always ask people when they're coming. So it's usually like sometime in the afternoon or whatever. So can I really go anywhere until they get here? By the time they get here, it's later in the afternoon. It's like you can't really do much anyway. So I had to have a 2-day minimum. It was just too much.
Yeah, I just did that with
and so the only days that are really open are single days between, say, 2-day stays. But I get a lot of requests for those single days. And I just started to say, I really can't do it. And I say, look, I need these days to do maintenance and repairs. And also I hear from our guests that 2 days is really kind of better anyway.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of people just want to come for their birthday or something, but I don't really think that they get into that kind of like ability to just kind of relax and let the Treehouse kind of do its thing for them,
Yeah, me and my wife just put a minimum of 2 day on our listings as well. I know what you mean. That turnover is, it's tough. So
it's really a big job. I mean, then it becomes an everyday job. You're doing all of that every single day, and it was just a little bit much.
And you would never consider having someone else run it for you?
I wouldn't, no. Wow. I mean, I really think that there's a very subtle way to deal with, for me at least, I want to know, I want to have that initial contact with the guests. I want them to understand. I mean, these tree houses are important to me. This isn't like some apartment that I own across town. They're important to me. They've really been a sustaining thing in my life. They helped me out when I most needed it, almost as if they knew. And so I'm very, very conscious of, I'm going to be respectful to them and to our guests, and I'm going to be the one that's involved in this. I was involved in building it. I'm going to be involved in, making our guests comfortable and meeting their expectations and taking care of things. And the other thing is, if you have somebody else do it, every single email that you get requires pretty much a different response almost every time. They're going to ask you a variety of things. And the other thing is that if something happens, like if I have a really comfortable bed out there. That's one of the big differences. I have like the most comfortable bed. And I realized if you're going to be sleeping up in the trees and you're in the most like comfortable bed you can be in, that's great, right?
Yeah.
But at the beginning, I was like, this is a Treehouse. It's going to be an air mattress with, good sheets and everything. But, it would maybe deflate a couple times a year. You got to deal with that. But I don't have that problem anymore. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it is. You know how it is. You got to do some things yourself. Mm-hmm. And I'm always conscious. I want cut flowers out here. I want the bathroom to be spotless. Because those things really bug people. You want them not to have to worry about those things. So, I really kind of feel like I have an obligation. People are paying good money to come here. I have an obligation to do it right for them, and so I take that personally.
Wow.
Yeah. So you said you can pretty much be booked all year. So with you pretty much...
Well, I do close between November and March because it really is kind of the brown season here. The leaves are gone. So, I mean, it's not the same experience. Right now it's cicadas. The canopy is full and green and beautiful. And, that's the time to be here.
So right? That's amazing to me because, like, from the people we've interviewed, I mean, you're missing out on months of income just because you want them to have the most optimal experience. I mean, that's awesome.
See, this is kind of an issue for me. I really think that I took seriously the idea that if you're going to do this, you want to be gracious and flexible and hospitable, yet, you don't want to be a pushover, and you don't want to feel bad about what you're doing. You don't want to be angry about what you're doing. You don't want to have guests that make you upset. And I see a lot of hosts, when I read the community boards on Airbnb, I see these hosts, they're so angry. They get so mad about a bad review. They get so frustrated. They're just, it seems like it's driving them crazy. And I think that there's a problem with that. I don't want to be those. I don't want to be that person, right? So I make sure that those things don't happen. Number one, right? If you give people a really good experience and you offer them their money back when they come if they don't like the place, then you've done all you can. And if they complain, right?
Yeah.
If they give you a bad review, then you don't really have to engage. Because all you have to go back and forth. Well, they did this. I see that all the time with hosts.
Right.
That is like such a problem because that's going to drive you crazy. It's not going to be worth it. I mean, if you're just going to do it for the money and you're going to go through all the psychic, pain and drama, it's not really worth it.
Exactly.
It's too big a job. So I try to minimize that. I mean, I really do. So it's gonna be. I'm going to be flexible. I'm going to be generous. The problem is, I don't really see Airbnb acting that way towards its hosts. That's the problem I see right now. Because they want their hosts to have these values. Be gracious. Be generous. Be flexible, right? Mm-hmm. Be really nice to people. Take care of people. If something comes up, take care of it, right?
Right.
But whenever you need something, you can't get them.
True.
You're an algorithm to them. You're a formula to them. I'm the most wished-for Airbnb in the world. I have the worst experience in trying to contact Airbnb when I need something. Wow. And I can't get through.
I'm happy you said that.
Let me give you an example. You would think that I'm a Superhost, right?
Right.
I have been a Superhost. My mother died this year.
I'm sorry to hear that.
My mother died. During the time that my mother died, she was 97. I went through, I had to answer all my emails 24 hours, right? That's the rule. And you have to do the replies. So all the categories that you have for Superhost. One of them is you have to have 50% replies to reviews. I had 49% one quarter, and they dropped me.
Oh, my
God. Now, and I've done more reviews than, because I'm booked all the time, in the number of reviews I did, was probably, in the top 10% of all hosts because I booked.
Yeah.
But because I was 49% instead of 50, they dropped me from being a Superhost on one category in one quarter. And I tried to call them and say, wait, I'm one of your more successful properties. I'm working very hard. My mother died. I couldn't respond to all the review requests. I was dealing with a situation. In other words, asking them, be human, be gracious, be generous. All they did was repeat to me what the criteria was. It was so frustrating to me.
And I'm happy you brought that up because me and my wife the last 2 weeks have been having issues with Airbnb, and I don't know if this is true, but I don't know if those people that answer the phone work for Airbnb. I think they're virtual assistants.
Well, here's the problem I have. They call it the shared economy, but I think that what that means to them is send us your share, send us our share, because you're not in any way sharing with them. They don't want to hear from you. And if they do hear from you, you go to customer service. And customer service is there just to calm you down. They have never helped me.
Wow.
They just keep repeating what their rules are. So if you want some human judgment to enter into their formula, they're not there for you. But they expect you to be human in the way that you deal with things, right? Mm-hmm. You have to be flexible. You have to give guests something that they may need that you don't normally provide. But they don't do that for the hosts. And the hosts are the people that have given the value to Airbnb because we are their bricks and mortar. They never had paid anything for bricks and mortar because of their hosts. So they want a great guest experience. Well, how does a great guest experience happen? Because you have great hosts. And when a great host asks you for something and you just give them the back of your hand, it really kind of irks.
Yeah.
That's
been my experience lately.
I fully agree with you. They definitely need to work on that because, man, these last 2 weeks have been rough with Airbnb, man.
What happens?
Like they'll take a payout. Like one guy, we were taking in victims from Hurricane Harvey. And one of the guys, Airbnb was pretty much charging people taxes to stay in. This is why they came up with the whole, you don't have to, you can lend your place for free, right? Because what was happening was people were booking Airbnbs outside of like Houston or whatever to go ahead and get away from the hurricane.
Yeah.
And so one lady at Kemp and asked me, she's like, hey, can you take off the taxes? I was like, man, I wish I could. But I'm like, Airbnb now charges the taxes. And so the next guy called in to get the taxes taken off because he was in a state of emergency. He wasn't even an evacuee. He was just trying to leave. He was just on a vacation in Texas. And he was told Airbnb that Texas is in the state of emergency. Can you take off the taxes? Airbnb took all his money out, like all my money out, and said, yeah, this guy's in Hurricane Harvey. And the guy wrote on my message board, he goes, I didn't tell him to do that. And he had to personally send me the money. And we went through jumped through hoops with Airbnb to get the money back. And then they took 2 payouts from us. And we had to, man, it's just been bad.
Dang.
Their customer service isn't the best. So I know exactly what you mean.
So they have asked me for certain things over the years.
Uh-huh.
Like, for example, they've asked to use the images of the Treehouse in their media, in their advertising. So I've seen the Treehouse show up in Delta magazine, on the airlines. I've seen it in Lego magazine for kids. They use it all the time, right?
Damn.
And so this one time when I say, hey, can you guys give me a break on the 1% of response to reviews out of the 10 categories for Superhosts, and I didn't hit the 50% that one quarter, but you give me a break and just kind of, and they couldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. So here's another thing. I get so many emails for, will you tell me when there's a cancellation? How do I build all these things? So I get a lot of requests that aren't, for dates to be reserved, or I'm booked. So if you do 10 replies without accepting a reservation, they delist you. So I get these notices. We're about to delist you. I go, I'm booked. I can't accept a reservation on a day that I'm booked.
Right.
But they're like, well, it's it's computer generated. I'm saying, you know what? Have you not determined that some people might be successful? Do you have room for people that are successful for you? Or is it just like everybody's lumped in together and we're like, we're the least of your interests, the hosts?
Yeah.
It's like abusing
so we're
their
going to
best
get a letter
employee.
that says, you're about to be delisted. I'm the most wished-for Airbnb property in the world. There was a time this year when there were 500,000 to 600,000 visits to my listing a month.
Jeez.
All right? And so you know what that means? First of all, they go to the Airbnb website because they've seen the Treehouse on Instagram, on Facebook, on the Today Show, in Architectural Digest, in Cosmopolitan, Vogue, Harper's, Travel and Leisure, any of those places. They see it, and they go to Airbnb site to find it. So those 500 to 600,000 people, I'm generating those for them. These are first-time Airbnb users.
Jeez.
Right? And I get a note that I'm going to be delisted. Does that even make sense?
It doesn't make sense.
It's no
It
reciprocity.
doesn't even make sense for them, right?
Yeah.
It's a cold corporation.
But you can't have this conversation with them. So because I was dropped as a Superhost, my monthly viewings went down 500,000.
Oh,
That's
dang.
500,000 people that aren't going to Airbnb because they wouldn't allow me the room for 49% to 50% on how many reviews I responded to during the period of time that my mother was dying.
Jeez.
Wow.
I mean, are you kidding me?
That's nuts.
That's crazy. And it's crazy because we've talked a lot about Superhost, and people always say, hey, it doesn't affect your listing. I'm happy you actually have the experience where it dropped. Yeah, so it does essentially affect your listing, correct?
I believe it does. Yeah, I mean, it used to be when I would go to the Airbnb site, the Treehouse would be one of the first things that you see. It no longer is.
Wow.
Wow, man.
But you can't talk to somebody about this. You can't have that conversation.
Now, do you list on other sites as well?
I don't, but, I mean, I think there's so many people that come to this place because they've seen it somewhere. Airbnb is the way to go get to it. And I am very, very grateful to Airbnb. When I started this thing, I was like, you know what, this is really good. It really helped me out. They help out a lot of people. But then I began to realize, do they care at all about how hard I'm working for them?
Apparently not.
Yeah.
They should treat you with white gloves.
I mean, they generate serious income from this property.
Mm-hmm. And free advertising, as you were saying.
So, yeah, and I mean, I just think that, I really appreciate them. I really want to work with them. I want to be a partner with them. But all I'm saying is you're kind of making that hard. And all I want to do is just have a normal kind of relationship that you would have with someone that you're in business with. There's a principle for you, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like a principled person. I mean, it's not that this is I don't want to be one of the hosts that's angry or anything else, but I'm just pointing out, as the bridge troll, okay? I'm the bridge troll now.
Yeah.
The bridge troll saying, what's the story?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, man.
So, I mean, I don't know. I just think that, I've run organizations before, and I just think that, one of the things that is the mark of a good organization, and one that's successful, one that's sustainable, is they play well with others.
Yeah.
That's one of the principles. And I'm just saying, here's your hosts that are providing that guest experience that you insist on. And we all work hard. We all respond to our emails in 24 hours, no matter what. I do it every day. It takes me an hour a day. You give your guests a good experience. That's what they want. So you work hard to do that, right? You're clean. You're communicative. You do all the things that they want you to do. And they push you to do, right?
Right.
But when you ask them to be gracious or to be flexible, right, or to give a good experience, they're not there for you. And that just says to me, they need to have the values that they expect their host to provide.
Right. Not just an algorithm.
Otherwise, yeah. I mean, if there's no human judgment in the algorithm, then they're not a new economy. They're not a new company. They're not sharing.
Right.
They're not a community. And so that kind of rankles me when they use those terms.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been with Airbnb?
Over 3 years.
3 years. Yeah. And you could be booked every day, like you said. Is there a point when you want to jump ship, when you think you could get enough people with your own website, you won't have to use Airbnb?
I would so much rather have a conversation with Airbnb about this and just say, you guys should, I mean, if you just even heard me and considered it, what I'm saying here, I would appreciate that so much. But I can't even get that, you know?
Right.
So I don't know what to do. As I said, I'm very, very grateful. I am not a bitter host. I'm having a great time doing this because of my guests. I love them. They really make it a meaningful experience for me when they have a meaningful experience. But I will jump ship if I find that they really don't embody the values that they expect from me. Because I don't think that's right. I just don't. I'm principled. So even if I lost money going somewhere else, I'd rather be with someone where the principles were shared. Right?
Yeah,
or do it myself.
Sounds like you'd be a hot free agent right now if you started, hitting up VRBO or the other ones. Say, hey,
well,
do you want? Yeah.
The problem is, and the reason that Airbnb can maybe even feel like they can do this is because they've got market share, right? So if you're looking for place, the most places are going to be on Airbnb. But it's kind of a little bit, I think, of Uber. Uber got to a point where there was something where people were saying, you know what, there's something wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think things turned.
Right.
And I think that could happen to Airbnb. I see so many postings from hosts that are they're like, there's steam coming out of their ears or something. They're just crazed.
So if someone approached you, like let's say a fellow artist has a cool spot, it's real art, he put his passion into it like you did, your Treehouses, and he said, hey man, I'm thinking about putting it up on Airbnb. What advice would you give to that person?
Well, I mean, I think that the main thing is, do it the way that you can handle. Don't allow things that really you don't want to have happen, or don't drive yourself crazy. And if one of the things that people say to me, and I'm kind of amazed by this, they go, "There's so many beautiful little antiques and little things that someone could walk away from your treehouse," and I'm like, who would do that?
Right.
Yeah. You just have to expect that you're going to have a good experience with your guests if you give them one, right?
Exactly.
The only time I've had a problem with a guest is when I've gotten my kind of back up. They did something that kind of irked me, and then it's a problem. And that's happened one or two times, but I realize that's probably as much on me as the guest. If the guests see that you're trying to give them a good experience, they're good people. They're going to be good. They're going to be fine. You're going to get along great.
Right.
Now, they're going to enjoy the experience, right? But, if you have to be kind of a jerk, or if you have to, if you get really easily irked or ticked off by something a guest does, or, or you're in a situation where neighbors are complaining, I'm very conscientious about my neighbors. Very.
Yeah. So you would you'd probably be opposed to Instant Book, wouldn't you?
Instant what?
Instant Book.
Oh yeah, I don't do Instant Book. No way.
Yeah.
Have you ever done it before being the number one place?
No.
Or? No.
Nope. Never. No way.
That's just like the final step to you becoming.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
See, that's what I had questions with Myka about, and the guy and the people we've interviewed, they're all for Instabook. They think it's great.
Why?
Well, I think from your I don't know when Instant Book started, but now I know you can have requirements on it, hey, you have to have good reviews. From your perspective, I wouldn't do Instant Book because you're way too you're heavy, man. So, but from where my listing stands, Instant Book has worked pretty well for me. But
yeah, I mean, I'm in a little bit of a different situation. What I've found is that this treehouse is a personal experience for people. They come here because they're either they're in love with somebody and they maybe want to get engaged. They need it's an anniversary and they need to get away. They've been sick or stressed at work and they really need to unplug. And so, those are the kind of people that I want here. And I don't want someone just to say, oh, it's the most wished for Airbnb, let's book it. They don't know where they're going, right? They don't know that they're in a treehouse. They don't know that there's not other people here. They don't know, you know, they don't. Well, is it closed? Is it air conditioned? You know, do you have a TV? If people say you have a TV or is it air conditioned, I mean, it's pretty easy to tell it's not air conditioned. It's a treehouse. I mean, it's open. The bed rolls out. You know, I mean, I don't really know what to. You know, I mean, how much can you give everybody the full listing and guidelines and everything else, and you know that people aren't going to read everything, but I mean, you have to have a little bit of paying attention. That's what I'm looking for, a little bit of paying attention.
Right. And here's when I heard about Instant Book, when they were telling me about it, I have my reservations on it too. I mean, I don't know if I'll do that when I get mine up and going, but I was thinking that was the final step. You just becoming a hotel. Congratulations, you're a hotel now. Anybody can walk in, pay money, and get a room. You know.
Yeah.
Right, and you know what? To tell you the truth, that's when the argument that Airbnb is a hotel and should be paying hotel taxes and all this other stuff is kind of like going to happen, because there's been a debate about Airbnb in the legislature here in Georgia. I know that there was a local publication that came and interviewed me about that, and I think the reason was because I'm clearly not a hotel.
Right.
I mean, people that come here, if I closed, they're not going to a hotel. That's
Exactly.
not why they're here. It's not an accommodation for them. It's an experience. It's something unique.
Yeah.
And they want to. It's really interesting. I think that people are very attracted right now to, number one, being a little more in touch with nature. But some people don't like pup tents, right?
Right.
But also the world is like so crazy and hectic that this seems like a little bit of a simple response.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time.
And so, I think that's kind of it,
This is a great interview so
Yeah.
far, man.
So
we weren't expecting this. I mean, it's great. It's different.
No, you started me. You got me kind of ranting about the whole thing about what it means to be a host, because I mean, as you can probably tell, and I'm not trying to blow my horn here, I pay attention to this, right?
Yeah.
That's how it works for me. If I pay attention to it, then the guests have a good experience. If the guests have a good experience, I'm calm. If I'm doing something and I think the guest is having a bad experience, that ruins everything for me, right? So I'd rather, I want this to work. I want it for my guests, and I wouldn't be able to do it any other way. I know that about myself.
Go ahead.
So it does kind of rankle me when I try to embody these values that Airbnb keeps putting out there publicly, but doesn't live up to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so that's why I'm talking to you guys about this, because you're an Airbnb show. You've got people that understand Airbnb a little bit, and I just think that we need to think about these things. I hope they think about these things, right?
Right.
But, that's really the only thing that, is something that I kind of worry about or wonder about in terms of Airbnb in the future. I think that they've got to pay attention to the fact that their best asset is the host, because without good hosts, they don't get the guests.
Exactly.
I'm happy you went on that kind of that criticism about Airbnb, because a lot of people, because me and my wife are on those community boards as well, and you're right. Hosts tell you all the time, hey, Airbnb's not treating me right, and you call into those customer service lines. I personally don't even think they work for Airbnb. I think they pay virtual assistants, which I hope in the future Airbnb does. And I know they're kind of new, not really new, but they're still developing their customer support role. You know what I mean? So hopefully it gets better.
Customer support role is I think it, to me, it looks like it's like a bank vault. You get in there and you don't get out.
Uh-huh.
I've never been able to reach anybody outside of customer service. And I don't even reach supervisors. I say to them, you're just repeating to me the rules. I know the rules. I've been with Airbnb longer than you have, right? Let me give you an example. I had one instance in the 3 years where I had a bad guest, and she really got to me because she wouldn't respond. She wouldn't, put candles out when she left. I mean, come on, it's a treehouse, right? And so, I kind of like, listen, I love these tree houses. I mean, if someone's going to be abusive to them, the bridge troll's going to wake up, right?
Yeah.
So she complained and she wanted all her money back. And I was almost immediately one of those hosts that said, well, she did it, and then I went, nope, don't do it. You know what? Just offer the money, get out, right?
Right.
So I made it. I did what Airbnb wanted you to do, which is negotiate a settlement. I negotiated a settlement, and the settlement said, I will pay you half of what you paid, but, let's not write reviews for each other because it won't be pretty.
Right.
Airbnb called me 3 days later. I was at a dead show in Chicago. They called me 3 days later, right? I just a number from San Francisco. I picked up and they go, this is customer service. We just want to tell you that you're not supposed to tell guests that they can't write reviews. And I went, have you ever settled anything in your life? That's what settling a dispute means. You settle it and you don't talk about each other after that because otherwise why settle it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like, are you kidding me? They told you to call me and tell me I couldn't tell guests not to write a review when I was settling this thing with it. I mean, that was like, that's just such inexperience that it's like, come on, that's ridiculous. That's what you're supposed to do in a settlement.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't like give somebody their money back and say, go ahead, write a review.
There's always a
go on forever.
a hush clause or something at the end of it.
Well, I mean, it's just why do it? She's upset and I'm upset. Is that what they want?
Is there an age limit of people that can stay at your treehouse?
Well, I mean, I don't really get requests from 15-year-olds or anything.
Okay. No spring breakers.
Well, I don't think if spring breakers are coming to this treehouse, they're going to something and then coming back here for quiet time. Because I don't have parties.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Man.
So, one thing I wanted to question you. So you said you always give the money back if they request it, and it seems like your treehouse is doing pretty well. Would you say it's giving you the financial freedom that you want?
It has allowed me to concentrate on my photography, yep.
Wow.
Yep. This is why I'm very grateful to it, because this has really, provided me with the flexibility to do other creative projects that I want to do. Mm-hmm. I'm very grateful. Very.
And so do you still work in the corporate world, or have you given that up?
No. Well, I didn't work in the corporate world. I was an environmental activist for 30 years. I was the director of Greenpeace. Then I was the director of the Turner Foundation that gave money to environmental groups. Mm-hmm. Then I ran an organization called U.S. Climate Action Network. So I was an advocate,
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I like to tell people that I leave every job the same way I came in, fired with enthusiasm. So to get the double meaning.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. The last job I left, fired with enthusiasm, I thought it was really kind of a bummer deal. But that's when the tree houses, that's exactly when the tree houses, just went, you know what, buddy? We're taking care of this for you.
We got this.
We got this. We got your back. It was amazing. It was amazing. That's what's special about this. You should have seen these trees in the storm. Wow. They showed their starch. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I got to tell you, things happen out here. Things happen. I had a woman that's here that had a very, very bad experience 4.5 years ago. And she was out here all by herself, which was good. She needed the time out here, right? And she was out in the hammock at the end of the treehouse under the old man. And this owl, in the middle of the day, came over and was right there 4 feet from her.
Wow.
She sent me a picture of it. I posted it on my Instagram. I've never seen that in the 18 years that I've had these tree houses.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And I said, that's really significant. She goes, well, what do you mean? And so I went, well, okay. So I sent her all the Greek mythology and American Indian, things about whether or not, what this meant. And, she wrote back and she said, wow, that's kind of on the money. I mean, she got visited.
Yeah.
And she wrote about it in the book about, she said, when she came out of here, she hadn't felt this much peace in 4 years. And, she was now free to talk to her children about all this stuff. And I mean, people write about this all the time. And it happened from the very first guest we had.
Oh, that's beautiful.
They came here, yeah, and it really was an early lesson for me. I just realized that, wow, I mean, this is providing some like hugs to people.
Right.
And that's why I kind of get them set up in here in a good way and just leave them alone.
It's like a strange juxtaposition that you're providing these experiences, there's some spiritual experiences to these people, and you're getting a lot out of it too. Yet you have to use this corporate machine to get to those people, And
I don't expect that from Airbnb. I thought they would be different, because they put themselves out as being this new kind of company, that works with you, and it's like, wow, huh? Well, what do you know? I mean, I'll tell you, there are things that are just so human about this experience that you have when you have people. I had just like these two sisters. Like, one sister was so sweet. She just wanted to surprise her sister loved treehouses. She wanted to surprise her with a stay in a treehouse. So she told her some story about why they were coming. And they got here and they got out of the car and sister saw the place and her other sister said, "Yeah, I got this for your birthday." And she just started crying.
Oh, wow.
Wow. And they were hugging, and I was like, "My God, that's friggin' beautiful."
That's awesome, dude.
I think I was crying. I mean, it was just crazy. It was just, I've seen people walk out of here; they look different.
Wow, that's just like, it's beautiful. It's art, man. It's art.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
Well, I think there's. I mean, I don't ever think of myself as a gracious person. I'm kind of a northerner, and I'm down here in the South. And I'm trying to, I've got these very southern tree houses that are very, very generous and, gracious and southern and quiet and nice. And it's like they've taught me a lot.
Yeah.
They've taught me a lot. And, so have the guests.
Now, my friend, a friend of mine was egging me on one time, and we were up in Washington, right? And there was the beautiful, giant, what are the pine trees? And I said, I'm gonna go hug that tree, man. He's tree hugger or whatever. And I said, no, I'm gonna do it. And I went over there and just gave this tree the biggest hug. And you know what? It felt really good. I mean, I'd never done it before, but I was like, wow, this feels nice.
Okay. All right, now I'm going to tell you this story. I wasn't going to tell you this story because people think I'm a lunatic, all right? Okay. But I told you about the old man, right?
Yeah.
So there's 7 trees involved. The old man has been here since the Civil War. So when I first built the tree houses, the old man has this, deck around him. It's the one open area of the tree house. It's the spirit one. It's just a big open deck with a bench around it. Yeah. And if you sit on one side of the old man and someone's on the opposite side, you can't see them because he's big.
Right.
And I used to joke about turning him into a table.
Oh.
Well, I got to tell you, this tree came down, and it missed my tree house. It came right across that space, missed my tree houses by 2 inches. This is a huge tree.
Oh,
wow.
My gosh.
And I looked up and I went, oh, my God. I mean, that is the meaning of the word shot across the bow. And I went, you know what? He was like, you know what? I've been here 165 years. You want to be a jerk about it? Go ahead. Go ahead. Now, when I take people out there and I say, I'm introducing you to the old man. I want you to know the old man. He watches over the place. They usually hug him. They look up. And I'll tell you, since I started doing that, last year there was a tree that came down, but it went the other way across the creek. And if you walk out there, it's like he put a couch out there for you to just look up at the treehouse. It's the most perfect view of the tree houses on the whole property.
Oh, wow.
Now, whether it's true or not, what that whole exchange was, I'm going to respect him.
Exactly.
I've learned my lesson.
He's been through war, man.
See, that's just it. I was being a jerk. And the treehouse and the tree corrected my behavior. He said, basically, that's not good principle. Don't be disrespectful out here.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you, when people come to shoot things out here, if they push it, the tree houses don't. They don't cooperate. they get crap. But if you just come out here and let the Treehouses do their thing, you'll get what you need. It's amazing.
That's
I've
awesome.
had experience after experience of it happen.
Wow, man. Yeah, this is an amazing story, man.
Now I'm embarrassed that you guys got me to open up like this. I sound like a lunatic.
No, man, this is real stuff right here. This is a real deal.
I gotta go. This is ridiculous.
So you really got a jet?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say.
But yeah, I mean,
How much more do we got?
No, as long as you want to talk, man. This is like I don't want to stop this. This is you're really letting out, and I get out. I get a lot out of this because
Let's do part two. If you do a part two, I'll teach you some of my tricks I learned.
Okay, yeah,
we're definitely down for that. Yeah, do a part 2 for you.
Yeah.
all right.
There's some tricks I learned as an Airbnb host that you've got to do.
Oh,
I don't know if I can tell them though.
yeah. Go ahead. Let's do
go
it
ahead.
right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Part 2 starts right now.
Yes, right now.
Can
Go
I
ahead and
tell
go.
you one? Can I tell you one?
Yes, please.
Okay, I can't because then people think I'm like a I'm like fixing it. But you got to understand how it happened. Okay, so you got to provide a clean place, right? Well, it's a treehouse, right? So
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like I stupidly painted the bedroom floor white. You can only imagine what that looks like after a few months. You're gonna like clean it, and you got to have in the bathroom is white. You got to if there's a hair, right? People freak. They think you haven't cleaned anything. Right? So, you can tell when you go to your listing, how many of the last number of people have given you 5 stars on communication, location, value, cleanliness, all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I realized that, it'll be like the last 20 people gave you 5 stars on, value. The last 3 people gave you 5 stars on cleanliness. And I went, what? Really? I cleaned up. So here's what I did. When I got done cleaning, I would leave the vacuum cleaner out. So when we came inside where they have their little mini fridge and a changing room, the bathroom, people come in and go, oh, I'm sorry, I left the vacuum cleaner out. Now, I didn't do any more cleaning, but my 5 stars on cleaning went skyrocketed.
Whoa.
Just because they saw the vacuum cleaner.
Huh.
It feels clean. It's the feeling of it.
It's just they know that you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything different. I'm just saying, it's not a trick. It's just, what do people respond to? I mean, God, I can't even believe I just told you that one. But I mean, it's like these are things you kind of learn. You know what I mean? You clue people into what you're doing. If you have cut flowers there, people think they care.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just going to make a difference on how people respond to you. This is why I offer people their money back. Because, I had a doctor once. He got milk instead of cream in his coffee in the morning, and he gave me a bad review.
Whoa.
Hold on. He
Now,
repeat that?
I could have gone back and forth with this guy because he showed up 2 hours late, didn't call me. But that's the worst way to respond to a bad review. So now, every time, if there's anything that people complain about, I go, if there's a complaint, I can now say, I see you're new to Airbnb. Your stay wasn't a pleasant experience for anyone. I hope your expectations are met in the future, but this is why I always offer your money back when you arrive. And then people say, this guy's reasonable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to decide who was the biggest jerk, they go, if the guy's going to offer me my money back, I'm good.
Nice.
Yeah. People do respond to that.
I don't have to deal with the, review back and forth thing, and, oh, they said I did this and they did, I don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah.
So I just nip it in the bud. You can have your money back right now.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
What other tricks of the trade?
Part 2.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Well, yeah, that's a tease right there.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2, man.
Well, you know what? There's so many. There's things that you could do. I mean, if you want to talk to people that stay here or whatever you want. I mean, it's weird for me to talk about what happens to people here. You can read it in the guest book. You can talk to people. I don't want to, as the host, say people have the greatest experience of their life here. That's not really for me to say.
Mm-hmm.
I just want people to have a good one, and I want to do my best.
Yeah. And you're doing it, man.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. So, wow, we appreciate,
I'll tell you, I'll give you one more trick.
Okay.
So one of the things that I ask people to do when they're here is, I've got all these Christmas lights out here, right?
Right.
And, it's just basically, I'm not electrified out here. I don't have a bathroom in the treehouse. That would ruin everything, right? So I ask people, put the candles out and unplug the lights when you leave, right? When you go to sleep. Now, I would say that to people, but I realized that when I was talking, giving the tour, people didn't hear. It was like the teacher and Peanuts, like, wah, wah, wah. That's all they hear.
Right.
Because they're looking around and, they're thinking about their stay, and I'm just blabbering, right?
Yeah.
So what I finally did was I said, okay, I need a fire marshal. Someone is appointed the fire marshal. Once they have a title, they take responsibility.
Ah.
Wow.
I don't have any problems with people leaving the lights anymore because the bridge troll knows it's the fire marshal's fault.
Right.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So that changed everything.
That's sweet. Just like sitting at an exit row of an airplane, right? You're responsible for getting everybody out of this airplane.
Yeah, I mean, people if you say to people, hey, give them a title, fire marshal, it's kind of like being a safety officer in school, it's like, this is how people are, right?
Yeah. It works in the corporate world
so,
too.
You can tell people till you're blue in the face what they need not to do. They don't hear you unless you kind of make it fun for them.
Right. It's goes back to the kid thing, We're all just big grown-up kids.
Right. And I also want them to think of, take care of this place. It's taking care of you.
Definitely.
Well, man, it's been a great interview, and we look forward to part 2. And whenever you're available, we'd love to.
Anytime, you guys.
You
Anytime, you guys are great. I had a lot of fun with you. You cracked me open. I'm embarrassed now.
Well, you should be, Peter. I'm just kidding. You kept it real, man. Just like your treehouse is real, you kept it real with us, and we really appreciate that.
You really showed your passion, man. It was a really good
I'm
interview.
inspired. I'm more inspired because I'm going to start my Airbnb.
I'm a lucky person. I have these beautiful trees here, and I was fortunate somehow to get the dumb idea to make these tree houses, and it kind of hit at the right time and everything. So I'm very fortunate. I don't want to come off as some oh, this is the way you do it or anything. I really just have learned some nice lessons out here. I really enjoy hosting, which I never thought I would like. And I just kind of realized that's kind of up to me,
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, we'll appreciate
it. Good talking with you guys. I hope everything's okay with you guys in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're good, man.
We're up north, so we weren't affected directly, but yeah, I mean, we're getting...
You should do part 2 in the treehouse.
Oh, you inviting us to the treehouse?
Don't you have a travel budget? Come on.
Are you inviting us to the treehouse?
Sure I am.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that. Oh, yeah, we got to do that.
You got to do that. You got to do the on-site. This would be a big show, man. We'll drive in, with that big on-site interview, You got to go visit the places, man.
We'll be there, dude.
We're coming.
Let us know when. We'll get there. We'll find a way. I work for an airline, so we can just hop on a plane.
Oh, that's perfect. Well, if you guys contact me, I can tell you when there's an open day. I'm going to hate being out here, but it'll be fun anyway.
Oh, we're coming. We're coming because my wife has already been looking at the trail. She's been looking at it for a while. She's like, we got to go stay there. So yeah, we're coming. We'll do that.
It's really funny. Does your wife know the treehouse?
Does she what?
Does she know the treehouse? Has she seen it somewhere?
No. She's seen it on Airbnb.
Yeah. So I get this all the time. I mean, I told you some of my background, and I used to think I was, doing significant things and all this, stuff. And it turns out that, what I'm going to be known for is something that every 8-year-old can do, which is build a treehouse. The funniest thing in the world, Who knew?
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. The purest thing.
It's kind of weird. I kind of feel stupid.
So, where can people find you? Get in touch with you and stuff like that.
Well, if they're not trying to stay here, then please don't communicate with me over Airbnb, because that means I've got the 24-hour rule. I've got to respond in 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, it's like it's almost like communicating with smoke signals, trying to because they try to send you their website. Airbnb blocks it all, right? So I get these emails. Hey, we're a German TV company. Look at our website blocked. Please call me at phone number blocked.
I get those all the time, man.
And I don't know what to say to people. I say, hey, Airbnb blocks your contact information. And then they write back, I don't know why they blocked me. It's like, well, that's what they do, So try to reach me outside. I'm very easy to find.
And when I messaged Peter and I was like, yeah, man. So I know we can't trade phone numbers and stuff. So how could I get a hold of you? And you're like, you can find me. Just look me up. You can find me. It was a very rock star moment right there.
Yeah. Especially when media companies, like a lot of times I'll give people a clue how to find me. But if they're from a media company and they haven't tried to look me up, I'm like, you'll find me with a little research. It takes like 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, awesome, man. Thank you so much for doing this interview. We look forward to staying.
Thank you guys.
Doing part 2 in the Treehouse.
I hope I wasn't your worst interview.
No, you're up there with the best ones, man.
You're up there, man.
Yeah.
I just never want to be the worst. That's all. I just don't want to be the worst. I don't want to be the worst host. I don't want to be the worst interview. I don't want to be the worst interview.
Life goals right there.
Right. Small goals. All
right, man. Well,
all right, guys. Take care.
All right, you too.
Bye, all you listeners. I don't know how many there are out there, but it was good being here with you.
Oh, they got a lot out of it, I'm sure. Thank you so much.
Take care, guys.
All right, take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. And that was Peter Bahouth. I probably screwed it up after the whole interview. I probably screwed it up. But anyways, I'm Steve, by the way.
And this is Myka. And this is episode
16
of Live, Let, Thrive.
The Treehouse episode, as it will always be known.
We have now had the biggest Airbnb host on our platform. So,
we love this. Is awesome. We're just blown away, man. Oh man, we love doing this show. Thank you for listening. Spread the word about this show. We don't make any money off of it.
Yeah.
We just love sharing this information with you guys and getting the information from you guys. It's what is it? Synthetic? I wouldn't say synthetic. Synergetic, whatever.
Yeah.
And so hit us up on liveletthrive.com. liveletthrive@gmail.com and
Facebook. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere, man.
Everywhere.
Just Google us.
You will find us.
Yeah,
of course, podcast, iTunes. Please leave a iTunes review. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
we'd love that.
We keep forgetting people to ask that. Yeah,
iTunes review, like these guys is awesome. Something like that, and write that down. It's so.
But a
phone number.
Yeah, phone number 469-300-9100. So that's 346. Oh, dang it, man. What's our number? 369-400-9100.
Yeah.
There
and we'll put that on the show notes too. So, and for Myka, this is Steve signing off. Peace out.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.